Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Let me kind of turn this down for a bit. Back here, of course, on the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube. I think I might have already said that in my intro. If not, just repeating it just to make sure that everyone remembers. As long as they're not watching another channel. Whatever. Weird intro there. So, for this video, this is kind of a pretty short update video here. Got something, of course, yesterday. Didn't do an unpackaging video, but we'll show off, what was in that package today. However, I definitely want to also show two things that I had gotten just a few weeks ago, and and I think two of these CDs here I did show already, but I just want to kind of show some more depth of them. So, and of course this one here that I have not shown that I did get, of course, again a few weeks ago. So I'll definitely show that here. A lot of it is very, of course, Judas Priest themed. But let me definitely show off the one that isn't Judas Priest themed. There's a band I've always seen guys like Bip Bop Boom and Blackmore Rules talks about. And seeing the one who is one of the members of this band, it really piqued my interest to actually check them out. Now, normally I don't check out a lot of punk, or because these guys are kind of considered definitely one of the bands to kind of start that sort of sound, and I do like a couple of punk bands. The only punk sound I only tend to listen to these days, or whenever I'm in for that mood, is usually the hardcore punk stuff that usually transition to that crossover thrash. But any old school traditional punk is usually something I normally don't listen to a lot, even though I used to be all over like the Sex Pistols' very first album. Never mind the Bullocks, We Are the Sex Pistols. I had at a time really liked that album, and of course even checked out the very first Ramones. But this band I never checked out, but yet seeing who was in here, which would end up starting a metal band, this one, again, it piqued my interest. Talk about the Dictators with their third and last full-length album from the 70s, which of course was Blood Brothers. Not a bad album, actually. I really enjoyed it. Of course, the guitar player for this band that would later start a metal band is, of course, Ross the Boss, best known for, well, starting Manowar, and even at one point playing in a French metal band, Shaken Street. And of course, Ross the Boss, speaking of him, he's actually putting on a new album this year as well. I might get to that, because because of this, I've really been kind of revisiting a little bit of some Manowar. And at a later point, I'll be actually getting more Manowar stuff. So, again, Dictators with Blood Brothers. To me, this is like just old school classics, early 70s rock and roll. Very sure it has a bit of that proto-punk sound to it. Very, of the Stooges or MC5. But again, I kind of dig some of the stuff from like MC5. And even some of this, and speaking of, the producers for the sound actually is best known for producing, I think, the first 6 or 8 Blue Oyster Cult albums. And at times there are some songs here that kind of reminds me a bit of like the Red and the Black, or some of those classic rock and roll tracks that Blue Oyster Cult will put on their albums. And that's what it kind of reminds me, and I dig that. Like the first 3 Blue Oyster Cult albums, just a real hard rock feel. And that's why I dig. And it's again, a very fun, enjoyable album that, again, I just really dug. So, and I'll probably be getting a bit more from the Dictators as well. But, again, just fun stuff. Alright, so finally, it's getting into the Judas Priest stuff. These two that I'm going to be showing here, I already showed in my top 15 favorite Judas Priest albums, and these, of course, are Japanese editions, early Japanese editions. And of course, the first one here is Killing Machine. Bought both this and, of course, Ram It Down. Bought these two from a Japanese seller on Amazon.com who was, you know, when it comes to a lot of the early Judas Priest CD pressings, on Amazon they usually are kind of expensive, but surprisingly the early Japanese CD pressings are actually really great when it comes to the pricing. Normally Japanese CDs these days can be, depending on whether or not it has the OB strip or so, sometimes it can heighten up the price. Surprisingly, these Judas Priest early 1991 epic Japanese CD pressings are actually really good in the pricing. It's like this one was like came out at $13 with the whole shipping and everything, and just it was surprising. And of course, it didn't come with this OB strip. Of course, Ram It Down did, hence why it's packaged up. And I'll definitely get to showing that. But again, real nice packaging though. Came in really good shape. Everything is in nice condition. Here, of course, got the disc. I'm not sure how good the disc is gonna come in. It's pretty dark, but let me see if I can turn on the light here. Here we go, get the light. Can you see that real good? Here we go. See, it's all like embossed. And it's in really good shape. Really can't complain about this. And let me show the booklet here. See, it's in Japanese, and I don't know. And again, I can't read Japanese for the life of me. But there's that. There's a catalog there. Catalog for those two. And again, it's a Japanese CD. Mostly when this album was released in Japan, it usually is given its original European title, which is Killing Machine. But in the US and America, it was pretty much given the Hellbent for Leather title in 1979 with the addition of the Green Manalishi. However, with the subsequent CD pressing, especially for this Japanese CD pressing, it includes, of course, the Green Manalishi track. So in a way, it's pretty much, to me, when I first listened to this album, well, to me, without the Green Manalishi, to me, it just sounds foreign. So I'm just happy I at least have a copy of Killing Machine with its full track listing. Again, in my video for like my top favorite Judas Priest albums, yeah, this is definitely up there. I've been listening to the sound quite a bit. I've really been coming back to it a lot more. It's it's a very, and of course I did a spotlight on this for like my album of the weekend. It's speaking of Hellbent for Leather and everything in the background, but it's just a very great laid back, almost very hard rock style album. Of course, it's definitely very metallic sounding and everything. It's got some good heavy metal tracks here, but all in all, it's a very laid back album in ways, and I think that's sort of what people call that desert feel, whatever. I think that Point of Entry was kind of doing, again, is done better on this one. I could pretty much go listen to this album pretty much non-stop. Just great guitar solos here. Probably definitely some of the best guitar solos and of course Judas Priest had some great guitar solos, but I think when it comes to this, for even the sort of commercial sound, it's all done very well. To me, almost at times kind of, I would say, put next to like the very first, or the first two Michael Schenker Group albums, in terms of just that sort of feels like, if I want a really good, just straight up metallic, hard and heavy kind of record or so, this is kind of one of those I'd really would play. It seemed like the Michael Schenker Group album, when it comes at that guitar tone and everything, is just one of those albums. Just really good, solid stuff. And of course, ram it down here, and I'll definitely show this one at some good depth here. Again, this one did, of course, come with its obese tri-strip, as you can see, and why I have it packaged up. Really good shape. Again, from the same seller. Safety shipping Japan or so. And, oh, I think someone wants in. Yeah, from like safety shipping Japan and stuff, and we kind of course. So I'll take this out and show this in depth. So here, it's actually, of course, we show more of the OBI and everything, in really good shape. I was surprised that Ram It Down came with its OBI strip. Again, I bought this one for about $9 actually. It was a little bit cheaper with all the shipping and everything, but the price that it was going for was like around $5, and for the shape and everything that it came in, yeah, I could not pass up and show off the disc, because each of these 1991 epic Japanese CD pressings, usually the CD disc is going to have a different color. Let me show this one off. This time it's not embossed like the Killing Machine one, but it definitely is still a very cool disc. Again, really good shape. Really good shape. So now we show off the booklet. Again, all in Japanese. Again, I can't read Japanese for the life of me. Getting to here, the all in English, and the color definitely does change. Again, there's your catalog. Again, showing a bit of that again. Yeah, everything's in just awesome shape for sure. And as far as the sound quality goes, really good sound quality for some of these early Japanese CD pressings. I always heard how they usually the original CD pressings are not usually some of the best sounding, but I gotta say, when it comes in comparison to some of the remasters and such, these are actually some really good sounding CDs. I think they're, like for Killing Machine, has a really good clear sound to it. Same goes for this one, of course. Ram It Down. I actually dig the sound. Of course, I put this in my top favorite Judas Priest albums in my video. But when it comes to when people talk about how the compression of the remasters are, I could definitely see why. For this one, when it comes like the sound effects and everything, it's fucking crystal clear, everything, and it just it's surprising. Again, Japanese CD pressings definitely are usually going to be some of the best sound for sure. And who knows, it's probably because of the type of CDs that they use. They always use a bit of a higher CD, I think, than usually anyone else. Alright, so that was it for the Japanese CDs there. We'll definitely be getting at least some of those. I'll be looking out for as much. I still got like a Japanese CD pressing like Priest in the East from that same series on Amazon. Of course, the series, of course, is the Epic Nice Price line. And of course, after this, I'll definitely get to more. So, finally, get into the package that I got yesterday, which of course was my Pledge Music package for Judas Priest's album Firepower. So I'll definitely get to show that. So here I'll show off. There's my copy of Firepower. Finally happy to have it. Did a review for this album anyway, so I don't need to talk more other than I've been listening to it a lot more. And if there's any different views, probably because I'm actually really liking this album. This is a really solid album from start to finish. I think I was very harsh. I kind of felt, or a little bit almost felt really skeptical in my review. I definitely kind of pandered a bit about how the fans usually are aping this to being the best since Painkiller, but I really can see it. The more times I listen to this album, the more I really feel, yeah, this is probably definitely, I think, some of their best stuff since probably that album when it comes to like the consistency of the whole album. It's like everything to me feels consistent. Again, for 14 songs and for being around 58 minutes, I think they pretty much nailed it. It doesn't really bore me throughout, like I think with Redeemer of Souls. Like that one's like with like 13 tracks, but it was a bit long, around 62 minutes long, and to me, that album, to me, it almost dragged a bit. Here, it doesn't drag everything. It just starts off just very nice and pace, and it keeps the pace going. It doesn't completely bore me. Everything is just like builds up and without losing any momentum. So that's the way you're going to do it. If you're going to put 14 songs and have around 58 minutes, you better make sure that it's a freaking great 58-minute album. And I think Judas Priest did that. It plays out more like a regular album than just something that they're like, oh yeah, we need to make this so complex or everything. They don't try to do that like with Iron Maiden wants to do these days. So, still, great album. Love that. Now, not the last thing. Here's finally the last thing, and of course, again, like I said, with a shirt. Finally time to show off the shirt, so here we go. Baseball tees, Tiles t-shirt with, of course, with the artwork. Nothing really on the back, but still large to fit me and everything. So just showing that as much off. Just a real badass t-shirt or baseball t-shirt and everything. Just real nice. Just happy to finally have a t. And of course, after when the pledge was all done, everyone pretty much all bought out all the t-shirts and everything. So, and I did it as early as possible. The minute I found out that they had a pledge, I was like, oh, gotta do it. Because I was waiting to pre-order this album. So, good thing I did. Just a real nice t-shirt and such. Alright, that's pretty much it for this. I'll also leave off that this won't be the last update here. I'll be doing one on Monday to kind of show off 2 more Judas Priest albums I'm getting. And I won't say which ones, but they are definitely ones that definitely were missing out of my collection. Oh, and I'm definitely forgetting what's playing in the background. Of course, it is Judas Priest, but it's actually a fan-made bootleg that I made. And of course, it's an album that's usually bootlegged anyway. But I named it something different than what it's normally called. I called it Unleashed at the Palladium, which is actually a show recorded in 1981, July 22nd of 1981 at the Palladium in New York City. Double album, of course. This was actually a radio broadcast. And I had this downloaded years ago, and I came around when listening to a lot of my Judas Priest sounds. I actually wanted to revisit this show, listen to it in full, and solid show. I think the only song in here that ever got officially released that was put on that Metallurgy box set was actually the version of the Green Manalishi here. But this whole show is excellent. I would say, if this was actually officially released as an actual live album, I would have said this was probably the best since the Unleashed in the East album. This is just that good. And I don't think this is one of those that is like doctored up. Again, it's a radio broadcast, but it has awesome sound. Everything sounds full. I would say this has even better sound quality than I think on the Unleashed in the East album, and in ways, and it almost seems blasphemous, but I think it just has solid, just real solid production and everything. Rob Halford actually sounds really good at this show. He doesn't sound like he's sick or anything, which is something that always I kind of felt kind of plagued a little bit of the performance for like Unleashed in the East, because it was, and I know he doctored a bit of his vocals up for that album from what I've heard. Here, nothing is, but he sounds fantastic on this show. I wish this was actually officially released. It's just that damn good of a show. Just and of course the versions from like Point of Entry, like Solar Angels, Heading Out to the Highway, Desert Plains, and Hot Rockin' sound raw and a little bit more heavier than the studio version. Again, without all the studio trickery, everything, the band really just sounds like they're in top shape on this night. Everyone's just playing on all cylinders. That's to me how good, and I wish this would get an official release. Yeah. So that's it for this video. Definitely will be back on Monday to show off 2 more Judas Priest albums here that'll be showing up. So until then, this is Heavy Thrasher Sam out, and I'll see you again. Take care.